Hello and welcome to Yerushalmi Berachos Daf Pei Zayin. I just want to say that if you ever want to find Mamari Chazal that are Mischazik Amuna and Bitachon in Hashem, there are some very beautiful words here. I'll try to cover some of them, but literally the entire block, this is in the Ozo Hutter print Pei Zayin of Aleph and Beis, are literally beautiful words of just describing the greatness of Hashem. It's really a phenomenal thing. So, and I'll give you a couple of examples. So, for example, the Gemara says that when someone whispers, does your friend hear it? Do you have a God that's closer than this? Hashem is so close to you, like the mouth to the ear. So the Gemara's context was saying that when a person talks, so Hashem is all the way in Shemayim, he's millions of miles away. Actually, the Gemara's calculation is right, 500 years journey between the Rakiyas, etc., etc. If you look at the Mefarshim, the ArtScroll actually did the calculation. If you're assuming that God is in heaven, which we'll get to in a second, which we talk about that being Hashem's abode where he rests, so to speak. So it's an element of Hashem and Shemayim. A 7,000-year journey is about 25 million parsos, which is about 57 million to 77 million miles, depending on how you calculate it. But that's a phenomenal thing. Yet Hashem is Karav Librios of Capella Uzen. He's literally right here listening to us. So that is a very, very beautiful thought. And again, there's just many, many of these thoughts comparing Hashem to Melech Basar V'Dam. And the Gemara talks about, for example, that Hashem is our patron. Hashem is our one that takes care of us. So, for example, the Gemara gives a mashal that, let's say, a human being has a patron that actually helps him, but he's constantly banging down his door to try to get help. So finally the patron gets upset with him and says, Ashkach plan to come mitrachali, do you ever find someone who pesters me so much? Even a patron gets sick of you. Awal Kodesh Baruch Hu Eino Kain. Hashem doesn't get sick of us. Ala kol ma'asha at matriach alav hu mekabelcha. As much as you're matriach him, he accepts you. My Rebbe Rav Asher Rubenstein, that's all used to tell over from the Chavetz Chaim. The Chavetz Chaim would sometimes say, I don't want to be matriach the Rebbeinu Shalom. So he would say that the Rebbeinu Shalom is happy to have all us but matriachim. You see first in this Yerushalmi that Chavetz Chaim had a special relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom. But my Rebbe Rav Asher used to always say that in our generation, not enough people are matriach Hashem. We should be matriach Hashem. We should daven. And I'm going to leave off with the last story of the Yerushalmi, which is an interesting story that needs many explanations. And you could take a look at that guy. So, he never fails to deliver a very beautiful pshat on most of these Agadatas, but this is just a phenomenal thing. So there was Rabbi Tanchuma, probably of Tanchuma fame from the Medrash, says there was once a story that happened with a ship that was filled with Ovdei Avodah Zarah that was in the Mediterranean Ocean, and there was one young child there. And all of a sudden a massive storm was threatening to destroy the ship, and each one of them was davening and praying to their deity. I don't want to use the word davening. Praying to their deity and holding him in their hand if they had the portable version, and it didn't help. But then they saw it didn't help, so they looked at this little kid and they said, "Get up and call to your God." Sheshamana, we heard you. We heard that He answers you when you cry. And Vul Gibor, he's strong. Miyad, Amana Tinok, B'chol Libo V'Tzak. That inspired the kid, and he davens. So Hashem accepted the tefillah. V'Shasakayam, and the Yam quieted. Then they got to Yabasha, where they were all on this trip, and each person disembarked the ship, and they were going shopping, and they said to the kid, "Why aren't you getting off the ship?" So he said, "Ma'atan boy min ahin achsani aluva." This unfortunate stranger, me, you're asking? I don't have any money. I have nothing. So they said to him, "You fool, Amrlo, atach sani aluva. How dare you? You called yourself an unfortunate stranger? Ein chach sani aluva. We're the ones who are the unfortunate ones. Some of us have our idols in Bavel, and some of us have our idols here with us. Some of them have it in Rome, and none of us were answered. But you have the Rebbeinu Shalom with you in this exact moment, in this exact place. Ki Hashem, and it says even the Gemara says, Ki Hashem Elokeinu Chol Kareinu Olav. So obviously this kid was a young kid. I'm not sure what exactly he was doing on the boat, why he was traveling, right? But obviously he was young and ignorant. And literally, the Goyim had to remind him. It's reminiscent of Yonah for a moment, Malacha Nirdam, because he literally was just put himself into oblivion to not understand what was going on around him. But anyway, what's going on? This person, he had no bitachon. He didn't believe in Hashem, and he was a young, innocent kid. But Alfal Pikain, when they told him, "Call out to your God," and at that moment he was inspired. And even a moment later, he actually wasn't inspired, and he said, "I'm just a luva. I'm just a forsaken kid. I don't have any money." But at that moment, he called out to Hashem and literally saved everybody's life. And that's amazing that if at that moment you call to Hashem, you get answered. And my Rabbi, Rav Asher, that's all I used to always quote this, and b'shem the alternate Vardik, that there's a medrash. The medrash says, if you believe in Hashem, if you rely on Hashem, you're surrounded by chesed. And the medrash says, afilu Russia, even if you're a Russia, but at that moment you're boteach b'Hashem and you believe in Hashem, chesed yisovenu, you could still be answered. And certainly we're not Rishaim, not lahachis, maybe l'teyavon. We don't do averis because we want to spite God. We're not philosophers that we fight with God. We have desires. We're human beings. So these Gemaras are telling us the importance of connecting to Hashem, getting close to Hashem, and recognizing that Hashem is watching over us, and that if we just turn to Him, Hashem will take care of us. Have a great day.